Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to vlog 124, Author Platform. This vlog comes via request, in fact multiple requests, and it emerges from our last rather remarkable vlog from my interview with Dr. Philippa Grand from Emerald Publishing. Big love, Philippa. And a lot of you realised quite quickly that she'd given us an incredible gift. It's very, very rare that we have an opportunity to talk with commissioning editors at an academic publisher. You know, we as academics focus on me, I'm terribly interesting, I'm an academic. And why aren't publishers publishing me? But actually what Philippa gave us, and the gift that she gave us, was to talk about being an academic author from an academic publisher's perspective. So it was incredibly valuable and incredibly insightful. And therefore it's not a surprise that 4 vlog requests emerged from that single vlog. The first one is obviously the author platform that we're doing today. The second one was a very interesting one about authors and podcasting, academic authors and podcasting. There was also a request to explore the short book that Philippa and I talked about a great deal, and also there was pretty well an immediate email the moment I uploaded that video to talk about how you create a PhD from the start with a book in mind at the end. So they're the 4 vlogs that are going to come, the quartet that have come from Philippa's great work. And that really shows you, I think, how much we appreciated Philippa's insight and how very special and important it is that we think about publishing. And I often have to remind people that my title is the Dean of Graduate Research, not the Dean of Graduate Studies or the Dean of Graduate Students. That means I am terribly interested in research and how we develop research. I have an international career in teaching and talking about publishing as an industry. So it's always a pleasure to use some of that expertise and talk to you about it. So what we're going to do today, and this is a big one and an important one, we're going to talk about the author platform. And you need to know what it is, and you need to use the language with expertise, because academic publishers and publishers more generally are going to expect you to not only be using that phrase, author platform, but to actually have one. And let's start with some definitions, if we can, about author platform. It's not really author profile, and it's not really branding. It is a little bit more than that. So what is an author platform? How can you as a PhD student, as an early career researcher, develop one? And then how can you connect that author platform with your audience, but also show that you have one to academic publishers? So let's start with some definitions if we can. The most obvious definition of an author platform is the capacity for an author to be known so that their name sells books. That's the author platform. And it demonstrates not only who you are, that's the first part of it, so author platform, who you are, your name, but also how your name and platform arches out to a particular audience. So your connection, your authentic relationship with a readership, people who buy books. Now in the old days, which never actually existed, an academic would write a book at a typewriter. What's that? Would write a book at a typewriter, deliver the manuscript to a publisher, and then walk away from it. And then wonder why that book never actually sold. Now, of course, that narrative sort of never really existed, because if you want books to sell, you're going to have to sell them. You can't just sort of like produce a book and release it to the universe and hope for the best. Because now, particularly with the death of the bookshop, digitisation, but also Amazon, and Amazon is incredibly important to the story, how are interested readers going to find your research? How are they going to find your title? How are they going to find your book? And the answer is author platform. The answer is author platform. So think about what a platform is. There is a reason I'm on a stairwell, by the way. Think about what a platform is. It allows you to get a little bit higher than your audience so that they can see you. That's what an author platform is, and that's how an author platform works. Your name is your platform, and because of the quality of your research, your audience can see you through it. Now, the author platform is incredibly difficult to develop at the start of your career. That's why we're having this conversation now. And it is particularly difficult to develop that author profile in Australia because we have so many disadvantages. Where do you start? Because as an early career researcher, no one knows who the hell you are. And when you're in Australia, it's even worse because you're basically completely visible from North America and Europe, let alone Africa and Asia. Now, that's the narrative, and 20 years ago that was true. 10 years ago that was true. Probably 5 years ago that was true. It's now becoming less true. And let me tell you why. And part of it is about my infamous 3Ds: digitisation, deterritorialisation, and disintermediation. Those 3Ds are transforming just about everything in academic life, including the author platform, because it's never been easier to develop an author platform than now. Because it doesn't matter, deterritorialisation, it doesn't matter too much that we're in Adelaide now. We actually can have an international audience through deterritorialisation. And also because of digitisation, because of social media, you can move from zero to hero really, really quickly. You can move from having no profile to carefully and pretty quickly, though, developing up that profile. So things are changing. Author profile as a phrase was first used in the early 1990s. That's the first mention I found of it. And it was used by non-fiction authors. But it was an interesting group of non-fiction authors. So publishers would pick non-fiction authors like sports people, actors, models, and musicians, people with an already existing media platform, so that's particularly television and radio if you think of it, so they could spruik or spin or sell a book through their already existing media connection. So if you're a sportsman or a sportswoman, you're on telly pretty frequently, so it means you have that author platform, that author recognition, and an audience that would follow you and buy your book. Through digitisation, the meaning of author platform has transformed, and it now has a lot of currency, a lot of juice, a lot of energy for academics as well. It is about visibility, so it is about that. But what has to occur is this, and again, if you haven't gone through the publication process of a book, this might come as a surprise to you because you're used to journal articles. So when you're doing journal articles, refereeing is everything, right? So you've passed through refereeing, it gets published. With a book, it's much more difficult to publish a book than to publish an article. Much more difficult. Let me tell you why. Because a book also goes through refereeing, very staunch refereeing with very, very clear and multiple criteria. So a book goes through refereeing, but you can pass refereeing, right? It's good quality research, but then it goes another stage. It goes to the commissioning committee to see if that book will sell. And if that book won't sell, then no matter what the referees say, they won't publish it. Boom. So that is why author platform is crucial to you. Crucial to you. Because it's your capacity to demonstrate, to prove that you have an audience for your research. Now, interestingly, I know a little bit about this because I'm seen by publishers right now to have a very strong author platform. Success overnight, that's great. But of course, it's not success overnight. I'm seen to have a strong author platform. But remember, I've already published 17 books. Won a lot of awards, worked around the world. I speak, I keynote around the world. I have podcast series. I've had podcasts for over a decade. I have videos like this which have some international traction, and also I wrote as a columnist, and still do, for the Times Higher Education. So, I've got a lot going on for me, but it's taken a very, very long time to get here. Also, of course, I'm on Twitter and very active, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Pinterest. Now, I very rarely use Instagram. I'm not using it well, to be honest with you. And in 2019, in fact, during the Christmas break between Christmas and New Year, I'll do a lot of research on Instagram, and we might do a vlog on that about Instagram and academics. I'm not using it well at the moment, and I think you need to, okay? But I have a lot of social media and a lot of social media connections that I use in a clear, coherent, and precise way. And what all of that has done over the decades is it means I have a relationship with my audience. I have a very, very close relationship with the readers of my books. I know exactly who they are. I know the sociology of that group. And I think really it's podcasts, and we'll talk about this next week, but podcasts have really been the foundation of my author platform, because tens of thousands of people listen to those podcasts, and I treat that as a great privilege that they allow me to accompany them while they're on their commute or exercising or going for a walk. It's a very close relationship, and there is an intimacy there. And interestingly, and this is why we're doing a vlog next week on podcasting, Philippa Grand really focused on the role of podcasts in author platform, and I hadn't thought about it in that way before, because she has found out, and the research shows this, that podcast listeners are engaged, they're excited, and they buy a lot of books. So author platform, yes, is about visibility. Where do you regularly appear, online or offline? How does your work spread? How does your research disseminate? What communities are you a part of? Who do you influence? Now, this can be confirmed. There's lots of ways, there's lots of quant here where you can confirm this author platform. So an email newsletter list is one way to do that. That could be something you want to develop. Website traffic or blog comments, all that sort of stuff. But we can deal with author platform in a much more complex way, I think, than just simply the quant downloads, because it is tethered to that discussion about the target audience. Who are you visible to? Who cares? Who cares about your research? And you need to start to really think about the sociology of that. When I started to develop and really focus on developing the audience for my books, I focused very strongly on different national markets, knowing that each of my national markets were important. I dealt with them all individually, actually, and now it really is becoming a transnational, international audience, but I focused a lot on those individual markets. You have to show how the book you have written will be sold and how you will link it to an audience. So the author platform is tremendous for all publishers, but particularly academic publishers, because they need to guarantee a baseline of sales. So it costs a fair whack of money to develop a book, to create a book, through proofing, through publication, through covers, through all the sorts of costs that come through publishing. So they need to guarantee a baseline of sales so that their costs are covered. Okay? And that's why it's not just simply a matter of refereeing. Refereeing is great. High quality content, crucial. But are you going to cover their costs? So when publishers publish me, they know there is a very clear baseline of sales there. And so publishers are in the risk mitigation business. I'm not really a risk to publish. So that's the foundation for a book, and that is also the foundation for an author platform. Therefore, for you, what can you do today to start to develop this author platform? Now, firstly, what you need to do is exactly what you're doing. Focus on developing high quality work. None of this matters if you haven't got high quality content. So you focus strongly on doing great research and make it good. Make the content edgy, make it interesting, and then you've got something to sell. But secondly, what you need to do is write about that research for diverse audiences. So yes, you need the refereed articles, not a doubt about it. Try and go open access. So when you send that link on social media, people can read your work rather than bounce into a credit card. You with me? Yeah? So try and focus on open access. But yes, you've done the refereed work, then focus on, right, how else can I disseminate my research? Oh, right, so professional publications. I can do a video. I can do a podcast. All of it is about and talking through your research. And thirdly, you need to disseminate your research through really, really different modes. So please start to do video abstracts. We did an earlier vlog on this, and the research has continued to demonstrate that the citation rates for men and women who produce a video abstract of an article goes through the roof. So please produce a video abstract and you'll gain enormously from that. Also, you may want to do a podcast about your new article, the new bit of research that you're investigating, and quietly and carefully and in an organic and authentic way, you'll start to build up your audience. So as you can see, the author platform is not marketing. It's not a look at me kind of strategy. It's actually not that. It's complex, but why I love it is it's also real, it's organic, and it's also authentic. This is not spruiking. This is an authentic relationship with your audience. You are building real relationships with your readers, so they know who you are, whether it be through digital means, but authentic relationships are being formed. Therefore, what are some strategies you can do today to create that author platform? Well, it's pretty clear. A great one, which a couple of you have started to do, I think I mentioned it in an earlier vlog, way early in the series, I think, but a really great strategy is look at all the people you've cited in an article. Find them online and email them a link to that article. Show them how you've used their research. They'll cite you and they'll also remember your name because people love reading how other people have used their work. So that is a great strategy to build a network really, really quickly, build your citations up, and therefore you've got a list of interesting people who know your work. Crucial. Now, start to build a body of work on a different media platform beyond journals. So that may be podcasts, it may be an email newsletter, it may be a blog, it may be video. Create a community beyond universities that is interested in your work. Next, start to speak at high-profile events. This will broaden out your community enormously. I cannot tell you, and I'm not being rhetorical there, I cannot tell you how many keynote speeches I have gained because a person looking for a keynote speaker is in the audience of my previous keynote. Hundreds of speeches, and a lot of money I've gained from someone who is looking for a speaker who is in the audience of a speech that I'm doing. Incredible. But remember, if you're going to make money, if you're going to create an author profile on the basis of your public speaking, you have to bring it, okay? You can't just do some sort of pedantic, boring speech. You can't do that. If people are paying you money for a service, which is public speaking, you have to bring it. You have to show how great you are and really make that speech into an event. So that's important. Now, Brooke Warner created a fascinating list, actually, of the components that make up an author platform. And of course, her crucial one, the big one, was expertise in content. So you can't muck about with that. You've got to have expertise, crucial. But you've also then got to have contacts. You've then got to have visibility in social media, visibility in previous media, so earlier media, whether it be broadcasting, radio and so forth, previous books, personality, whatever that means, existing readership, but also the capacity to execute a media plan. Now, as an early career researcher, you haven't got some of those, but you can develop them. And that's the point I'm making today, and indeed the reason why I'm in a stairwell. You're going up. Author platform takes time to develop. You cannot buy it. It takes time to create that meaningful relationship between you and an audience. But for you right now, today, transform yourself into an influencer. What topics, what concepts, what ideas, what events are you an influencer? What is your unique message? What is your story? And start to write that down. Also, start to develop that clear sense of who your target readership is. Who do you want to read your work? And then start to develop and care for that readership. Build it up and care for it and make that relationship authentic, organic, and real. So yes, the author platform does require creativity, innovation, and yes, imagination. But it is a meaningful investment. I often describe the author platform as superannuation for your career, because every day you put a little bit into that account, into that author platform account. And by my stage of my career, and of course I've got probably 20 years left of my career, by my stage of the career, guys, it's starting to show a bit of a dividend. It really is. So it is time right now, today, to build your author platform. So yes, get onto social media. If you are not on Twitter, get on Twitter today. Communicate with people. Develop relationships digitally. These are authentic relationships, important relationships. Start to build them. And find ways, exciting, innovative, imaginative ways to disseminate your research. Yes, through social media, but think about moving platforms to disseminate your research as well. Focus on what makes you unique. What enables you to punch through those international debates. And remember, that author platform is a lifelong task. It is a lifelong garden that you are nurturing. And, I have used the stairwell intentionally. There are moments of your life where you'll jump up a couple of stages. You'll get a really big plank and wow, you've suddenly gone to another stage of visibility. And you'll remember this in your career with me saying this. It's amazing. All of a sudden, something happens and you can't always predict it. And wow, you're at another stage of visibility. But mostly it's just one step up at a time, one plank at a time, and developing that author platform. It's a careful relationship, a careful tending of your audience, of your readership, of your relationships, of your dissemination. So thank you for this wonderful request. Is an author platform interesting? So I hope it's been a useful vlog for you. And as always, I wish you love, light, and peace. Tea out.